Commissioners meeting, October 18th, 2017.
What can I help us this way?
Good morning. It is 9 o'clock. We're here for our weekly Wednesday board meeting for October 18th. Commissioner Miller and myself, Commissioner Peck is out on personal business today, and Keith, our administrator, Karen, our clerk, and we do have an audience. If you would join me in the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First up on the agenda this morning is Tom with the Horticulture Pest and Disease Control for the 2018 budget. So, here's the budget of the year to pass.
As you can see, I gave you another copy of the budget where I put in what the changes were over last year, where I handwritten it in, and the budget is up by $8,200 this year. Expenditures, we're going to spend $2,000 more in benefits because it turns out one of our employees has to have retirement benefits. We went up $6,000 or $7,000 a couple of years ago because one of them got medical benefits. I don't get any benefits, which is just fine. And the other services, $6,235. That goes into our enforcement budget. You can see that we had 420 more taxable parcels for a $642 gain, and 71 acres of tree fruit for a $284 gain. The estimated fund balance of $95,400 is $7,309 more than last year, but I really doubt it's going to be that high. I have to do this stuff by the September board meeting, and I really can't tell you until the end of September what's going to happen, but I don't think it's going to be that high. At any rate, just in case it is, I budgeted for $217.65. You can look on the third page, which shows you the 2018 expenditures. 2,000 more for retirement. That's the only change in the personnel benefits section. And then the 6,235 goes into professional services, the enforcement. That's the one we're trying to get up to $100,000. I gave you some reasons for that several years ago. I can give it to you again. For that other services and charges category going up 6,235, budget going up 8,235. There were public hearings August 14th and September 11th. And the board reviewed and adopted the Franklin County Horticultural Pest Board budget for 2018. So that's where we sit.
Okay, so if I'm reading this right, these, say for instance, page 3, that 217,065 is what your budget for 18 is.
Right.
So just the handwritten is what the changes are from 7.
Right.
Okay. I have no questions. That's pretty straightforward. You got money coming in? Same amount. What's going on?
Well, we have about 114,000 coming in. Last year it was actually $119,000 came in, and so we'll have about $900 more than that. And we're spending a little bit over that, or just right at that. We haven't raised salaries at all this year, because that's way more than what we pay these people already. Even if the county gives a 2% raise, it'll still be within that. So we haven't raised anything like that. Basic expenses that have increased have been this medical and dental stuff, the personnel benefits, and this retirement system. There's almost $9,000 in,
Okay, well, I have no questions, pretty straightforward, like I said. And with that, I'll go ahead and ask that we move to approve the budget.
Second. All in favor?
Otherwise, it's been a pretty quiet year. We haven't found any apple magnets or anything like that. We haven't had any complaints from any orchardists. We did have.
Taking out apple trees or?
Oh, yeah. We're still taking them out. We still have a tree buyback program. But we also had some fire blight up in, above Burden Boulevard, up Sandifer and stuff like that. City of Pasco took over 200 trees out. There's a couple of people that are, community associations that have trees that they're either trimming or taking out. Fire blight, I don't know where it came from. But it's really weird because on one side of Sandifer, it's all down the left-hand side. On the other side of Sandifer, it's all down the right-hand side. I don't know where it came from or what. Those are all flowering pears up there, which are just fine by us if they take them out and put in some oak or maple or something, you know. So that's been our biggest thing this year. Other than that, pretty quiet.
It's been those cranapple trees, or whatever they call them, the little round things that we took down. They used to make a mess of the sidewalk anyway.
Yeah. No, those crab apples, these were flowering pear.
That's what you took down?
That's what they're taking down, the city of Pasco, yeah.
I talked to him and he said fire blight, and I asked him, and I thought it was some of those crab also, but it's just those.
Yeah, it's just flowering pears, which, you know, can have carlymont in them if they're planted on a street and the house behind that has got apple trees that aren't being taken care of. Carlymont can get into them, but it's just not that big a deal because it only happens where the neighbor has an apple tree. And we tested them for 2 years, and there was like a 2% survival rate, and the bugs were all really small because the fruit's small and hard. So it wasn't a big thing. It was more important to get rid of that apple tree than the flowering pears. But now fire blight's taking care of that for us too. So.
And again, cranapple, peach trees aren't the same. They don't have that disease.
Well, crabapple trees can get flowering crab. Yeah, they definitely get carlymont. And that's one of the reasons we get certificates for people taking those out.
Right. Okay.
All right. Thank you, man. See you later.
With that, we got Lizanne and Tim from WSU Extension.
I have to do my show and tell.
Yep. Are we good? Good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There are WSU lapel pins which are new, which I just ordered in for volunteer recognition, or volunteer recognition breakfast that I do for the Master Food Preservers. So I'm Lizanne Powers Hammond, which, just in case, you know, been here a few times. The fellow before asked how long I'd worked for Extension. I said, I think 30 years. And so it's a familiar name. So I wanted to, what I got today was a show and tell, and this is a project that I worked on. One of the things that WSU as faculty members, we're also in the publishing as a faculty member, and as a county and state funded employee, one of my fights against our publishing is that, you know, I need to serve the county as well as the state and national. So this is the book is our Consumer Food Safety Training Manual, and put it together to serve the volunteers that I train at the county level. And so I kind of fight the system a little bit. I know that's a shock, because I feel like our job is to serve our local community still, and the needs in our local community. So this had the benefit of serving our local community as well as state and national. So my co-author on this was Sandy McCurdy, who was a specialist at University of Idaho. And so we created this book for training volunteers locally in our states, and it's actually been spread around nationally now. It's used by Washington and Idaho, California, Colorado, Hawaii, and New Mexico. And those are the people that have asked permission to use it. So that goes to our publications department at WSU. So the project this is it's kind of a manual that's in between how-to and technical. It's designed to train our volunteers so they understand the science, but not the nitty-gritty science. They don't need to know, all the statistics and all that. They just need to know the why behind the recommendations we make. So I brought that for you to see. My project now is my swan song project. So, however it takes, then maybe I could retire someday. But it's to create the teaching materials that go with this. So the training, that's the need of the training and the training materials that go along with that. Again, to be used for my program locally. And then, of course, it will probably be picked up by others as well. So speaking of volunteers, you're well aware that we really rely on volunteers for outreach, education, and extension. We call them Master Food Preservers. They do all food safety as well as food preservation. But Master Food Preserver is not as threatening of a name as food safety educator. That scares people. So we call them Master Food Preservers. I have one in Connell who is exceptional, and we're hoping to retain her for a long, long time because it's nice to have somebody in the community. They contributed about 1,000 hours last year, which is, when you do the value of volunteer time, almost $30,000 of in-kind service that we receive in Benton and Franklin counties. Their main project this year was staffing a booth at the Pasco Farmers Market, and one of our hopes for a project with the new market manager is to do some classes in the specialty kitchen. Get those set up we'll start in winter and then to go through spring and summer. The other thing that we do as a consumer outreach is really partner with our regulatory agencies, so the Department of Health and local health departments, as well as Department of Agriculture, because those are our regulatory partners, so they have the law behind them. But what is interesting is that we're starting to see some of the state and national foodborne illness outbreaks have a connection into home food handling. And home includes potlucks because they don't regulate potlucks. So we're starting to see outbreaks in potluck and community, we call them private parties, so they're not inviting the public. So wedding receptions, celebrations for anniversaries, large feeding events like that. So with improved tracking nationwide of foodborne illness outbreaks, we're starting to see a connection between home and outbreaks, which we've always known they were there. It just gives us the data to help us do a better job with that. So those are a couple areas we're working on, is really to do some food safety information outreach for potlucks and feeding in group settings. So, same old stuff, but always a new twist on it.
Yeah, that's quite a training manual.
It took a long time to do. My co-author is now retired, and that was one of her final projects. And her husband was already retired, and he kept saying, when are you going to be done? And our joke was she had a double line at the bottom of lists of tasks to get done. It took her a year longer. She had to delay her retirement for a year. For that and a couple other projects. It wasn't just that, but it turned into a much bigger project than we thought it was. When you sit there and say that's a good idea, that it sounded like a good idea at the time. But the major revision, the nice thing is the huge revision is done. We can just do the small tweaks now.
So this training manual, how long are your classes, or?
So we do a couple different levels of classes. So the volunteer training is, we do 4 hours at a time, 10 weeks plus some labs. So it's a 40-plus hour training.
And you can get through that manual in 40 hours?
Well, I always have more to say. The manual. We always miss a couple chapters. I say, oh, we'll get together. The emergency preparedness we usually don't get to, but the other we do get through. It used to be 30 hours of training. It's now 40. And I could easily go to 50, but, you got to kind of balance out.
Your audience.
Yeah, they don't necessarily want that much. But we also have repeats, so they kind of do a mentoring piece with, like at the farmer's market, we'll match up a veteran with a new person, so there's kind of the hands-on piece that they mentor. Yeah.
Is this available somewhere?
Well, yes, it is.
Online or otherwise?
Well, WSU runs the publications, so it's for purchase, but if you want one, I have a collection, and I didn't bring my cards with me, because we just moved, we're now in the health department. Here's my email. Contact me, and I can send you the ordering information, or if you just want one, I've got one, but as the author, we got a few complimentary ones.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, good to see you guys.
Updates?
No good ones.
Everything's good.
Just joking.
No news is good news, right?
Thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Morning, Scarlett.
Good morning.
For the board's consideration today, I'm here to discuss the annual awards program. As I indicated in the read ahead, this program was established in 2001 as an increase in employee benefits in conjunction with an annual awards banquet that was held each year. The banquet was discontinued years ago, but the awards program has continued to be administered in the same form, just in a passive form with the awards of leave and certificates. The timing of review for this policy is largely motivated by the pending legislation, or the legislation that takes effect January 1st of 2018, which is Washington paid sick leave, and particularly looking at the attendance component of this awards program potentially being in violation of that legislation. While L&I is still finalizing the rules, it's potential that the withholding of a benefit such as an award for attendance could be seen as retaliation for use of sick leave. Beyond that, we will have a situation where every employee in the county is accruing sick leave, so even if we were somehow able to continue the program, it would definitely need to be revamped with that in mind. Additionally, from a timing standpoint, the end of the awards period is October 31st, so it would make sense if we were going to make any changes for the next period that happened before the end of the previous period, which is why I'm before you today. For some of the other components of the policy, I've had elected officials and department heads express concerns over the abundance of leave hours that can be granted under this policy, particularly under the longevity piece. We have employees who are already accruing at a relatively rapid rate, some of them up to 25 hours a month of leave, and then they're granted a week or a few days under this policy as well, and so there's a struggle to schedule that time off to allow them to use it without losing it. Additionally, as I indicated in the read ahead, our payroll system doesn't separate these awarded hours out from regular leave hours, accrued leave hours, so in the case of somebody departing their employment with the county in the year that those hours were awarded, there's no mechanism to separate those out from the payout. So while it was intended to be leave hours, they end up with a cash benefit for that. So those are the reasons that I'm bringing it before you today. The recommendation as it sits is to discontinue the awards program as it exists today, and perhaps take some time to look at what are the things that the county may wish to incentivize in the future, and look at perhaps re-implementing an awards program based on those things.
Well, looking at this, Carly, I can agree with a couple of your thoughts. Driving safety is one, but not everybody in the county is eligible to pick up that award.
True.
Sick leave is another one that I would rather have a person stay home than trying to add more days on of not missing. The longevity I can't agree with. I feel that's part of a courthouse morale situation. I can't agree with eliminating that entirely. Maybe a revamping of it, looking at it closer, but I can see the other two being eliminated at this time at least.
I looked into it last night on the I-1433, and I agree with what you said. This can be very complicated. It can definitely cause some problems with sick leave. So here's what is it currently right now? That's irrelevant, because the state law is going to say 1 hour for every 40 hours or something like that, correct?
Correct. Our current leave accruals for full-time employees exceed what's required under the law. What's going to impact us under the law is for every 40 hours worked, employees in Washington State accrue 1 hour of sick leave. We're going to see the biggest impact for us with our elections temporary employees, our track on-call employees, some of our other part-time employees in some other areas of the county. And we're working right now on drafting a new sick leave policy to present to the board for consideration so that we can be in compliance with that law. The difficulty that I'm having is that, like I said, the state hasn't finalized the rules for that law yet. So I have attended a couple of town halls that they've had along the way as they've developed those rules and offered feedback, specifically requesting a collective bargaining waiver under that law. But I don't know, they were supposed to file the finalized rules yesterday. Still haven't seen those yet. So
Capital budget.
Right. So there's, some things that we're waiting on, which is going to give us a very short period of time to have, but it's, something I've been working on for months to make sure that we are ready.
So incentives are really good for the people that work. It's always good to have that little pat in the back or whatever. So I have to agree with the revamp, because I think it isn't even all the way across on this with the driving, as for instance. Now, but in my mind, if we did something like gift certificates, you can't, because it's gifting. Is that correct? Or is that not correct?
I didn't understand what you say.
If it was gift certificates, let's say
Something instead of leave hours.
Yeah, because I know places where that's what they get incentive. They get $100 bar or something. It's a choice.
Sure.
Is that legal or not, this one? Because we are, that's gifting to me.
I'm not familiar with the rules. I would have to partner with
For sure. It
the
seems like we've come across this type of thing before, but we can't do it. But I would have to agree with the revamping, because I think there's a few issues here we have to look at.
Okay. So I'm hearing consensus on eliminating the driving and the safe driving and the attendance award portion of the policy, and then to relook at the longevity piece. Okay.
Probably have to pass this resolution today, so you can carry on, but.
Well, I think, if we did want to, I can bring something back next week.
Okay.
And that's one of the reasons I was here today. I unfortunately didn't have the time to go the Matt Mahoney route of having 6 different contingency plans for you today, but not that good. But I can definitely bring something back next week.
Okay.
And then that gives us time for staff to know what they're looking at going into the next year.
Okay.
Yep, I can do that.
I appreciate that.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Public comment. Peter?
Good morning. My name is Peter McIntyre. I'm the Chief Appraiser with the county, and I've been with the Assessor's Office for just turned 18 years in September. I'm probably one of the people that will not be impacted by this decision one way or another. But I would ask that you carefully consider the employee's perspective in this decision that you're going to make. A lot of us old-timers, which I think it's interesting that 18 years is an old-timer, but a lot of us old-timers here at the county have been through a lot, through thick and thin with this bankrupt, the embezzlement, the issues with staffing cuts, and continued growth in our county has put increased demands on our staff. So I would ask that you carefully consider your decision and the reflection upon how the employees will take that decision. The other thing is, too, I'm concerned that I know that it's been expressed that, there was some discussion with some of the elected officials and department heads about the accrued annual leave. I know I get maximum leave at a little over 15 hours a month. I don't know anybody who gets 25 hours a month, but maybe I'm misinformed. So the other thing is, too, my elected official didn't know about this resolution and had no idea this was coming before the board today until I saw it yesterday on the consent agenda. So that concerns me as well. Those are employees that we manage for you folks to do the business of the county. And I think the elected officials and department heads need a little better communication about those kind of employee relation issues. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Piper Mitchell, the Chief Deputy for the Assessor, and I also have concerns. I understand the accounting problem, but I think I have a suggestion that if we called it personal leave, so it had to be used in the same calendar year, and it never carries a cash payout for the longevity. I agree with Bob Cook's comments about the sick leave and the safe driving awards, but this is the only thing the county does for employee morale, and I think if you do away with it, you'll be sad. And it also won't affect me in the next 5 years. I just had my 30-year award, and I won't be here for the 35, so thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike. Any other comments?
We just heard about the meeting, so we missed what was exactly is being on the agenda.
Hi, I'm Tina Carmona from the Franklin County Prosecutor's Office. I've been here almost 20 years. And I didn't hear the comments before because it was literally 2 minutes ago I found out. And I just think I love this county as far as, especially our office, just love it. Pay isn't as good as what you can get somewhere else, understandable. Love what I do, love the people I work with. But the little comment I heard there is like the longevity of an employee. It's really priceless. The training that goes into new employees is expensive. The connections that I've got with the community and other agencies, can't put a price on that. It takes a long time to get that. And I think it's something that's pretty important. I've still got at least another 15 years before I retire. Don't even know if I'm going to retire then, because I really do enjoy what I do. And one of the things the only thing. Cost of living goes up. Rare. I do appreciate the cost of living that we got recently. It's rare that we get one. The insurance goes up every year. So every year that I've been here, after my step increase, I've made less and less and less. So I'm not here for the money. I'm here because I love it. I do have some health issues, so I do value the time. The older I get, the more health issues I'm going to have. So I do value the time that is given to long-term employees. And I want to tell you, I really appreciate it. If it goes away, I may have to think about going somewhere else so I can make more money.
Yeah, I'm sorry you missed it, but when Carly was visiting with us, we asked her to come back next week with, leaving longevity alone, maybe a tweak in it, but at this point, it's a board consensus to maybe leave the driving off and the sick leave, but keep the longevity. So that's where we're at today. Carly's going to come back with, we didn't pass anything today.
I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to us. That's important.
Yeah. Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
Peter Hicks, Chief Deputy for the Treasurer's Office. I was here for the whole meeting. I do want to say thank you for both of you recognizing the employees and what they've done for this county. I, as well, people in my office have been over there for 25 years plus, and the idea that you were very concerned about maintaining that for them, I appreciate that. I know they will appreciate that. I do understand the challenges with the sick leave and their hope for fairness across the board of everyone being eligible for the program. So I thank you for your consideration in that matter and appreciate that you look at continuing the longevity program for the Franklin County employees.
So yeah, Tim Waters, I'd like to make a comment. I'm not a county employee, obviously, but I do manage a couple county employees. I do agree with the longevity program. I think that's a good thing. One thing I might suggest is perhaps some performance recognition awards. In my unit, we have a couple very hardworking individuals, and I do feel it's important to recognize people for being at the job for a long time, but also people that go above and beyond their job and do an excellent job. I think it'd be nice to find a way to recognize them in some way.
Anybody else?
Well, I just want to thank the commissioners. Those of you that have been here a long time, you understand how much you're relied on because of your knowledge base. It's that simple. You need to be acknowledged for that just like we need to be. So anyway, thank you guys all do a great job.
Thank you. Kelly? All right. Seeing no other public comment, thank you for sharing with us. And, we'll move on to paying the bills. Thank you.
Okay, there's some vouchers here. There's only one.
In that folder.
Okay, we got one voucher, and this is for the fund expenditures in the amount of $355,843.40. And it has been audited by the auditing officer, by RCW, and we have 3 signatures here. He could look at it, Jeff, Bart, and Nancy, Ryan has. So we have the coverage, and I'll approve.
No questions, Keith?
Good.
Second? All in favor? Aye. That brings us to the consent agenda, and we have 10 items on it this morning. Looks like they're all pretty much straightforward. All contracts notified.
I serve on the workforce, and I see there's 3 contracts, and they're all going to look at, and that in Franklin County, we agree to, not agree to contract. The adult services dislocated worker, supervisors. I have no problem. No other questions. So I will make a motion that we approve the consent agenda 1 through 10.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anything else for us this morning?
Don't believe so. It's good.
Short one. It'll take you all 2 minutes. Matt, do you have anything for us this morning?
No, I'm just trying to provide support.
Carly needs some support this morning.
Okay.
I think we can finish signing these.
I think so. That's it.
Do you have anything?
I have nothing.
I do have one thing, Commissioner.
Sure.
Mr. Chairman, just our department did submit a funding request. This was under the railroad safety for the Haley Road crossing. And I just wanted to give you an update. I do have a meeting out there today with the funding agency as well as the railroad to discuss our application and see if we can move that forward. And that's just where we're looking at putting up stop signs instead of yield signs with flashing lights on the stop signs, as well as some advanced warning signs with flashing lights. So
All right.
just thought I'd let you know I'm meeting out there with them today at 1 on site.
Just give me a call afterwards, because I know that Pat Haley has been discussing with me. She had a letter all ready to go out. I said, well, hang on a little bit, and that gets deeper into this.
Yeah, and if any of you are available, you're more welcome to join me. So
I got a full schedule today, so
yeah,
I can't. But
What time did you say?
it's at 1 o'clock today.
Yeah, we have a board meeting.
Yeah.
health board. But yeah, if you get a chance to go this afternoon or something.
Absolutely.
Tomorrow morning. Morning probably better.
Okay, we'll give you a call first thing tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Thanks. I think we've talked about this before, the Haley crossing, that great railroad crossing there south of Mesa. The UTC is fighting that great crossing.
Who's UTC?
Utility.
Oh, yes.
So Utility and Transportation Commission.
So they're against any crossings at the track, the intersections that we use?
What has happened with the amount of petroleum-based products that are now being hauled by railroad in the state, going through our state, the governor had required that the UTC, the Utility and Transportation Commission, to evaluate all railroad crossings in the state. Mm-hmm. And that one was identified because it is an unprotected, it's a passive protection is what they call it, just has yield signs on it. So that's one they've identified and have reached out to us looking at different alternatives for that. So this was the alternative that we came up with. It cost a lot of money to put in gates and lights, upwards of over $200,000 to do that. And then the ongoing maintenance is a cost to the railroad, and and they were they were adamantly against doing that type of active warning system with the gates and the lights, and so this was an alternative that we came up with. It is very low, it is low volume, but it is certainly access to a specific landowner, and closing it to us wasn't a good option. Not saying it's not still an option, but we wanted to look at all of our options, and us submitting this application is just that, it's looking at another option. So
you're looking for some cost share?
With this, I believe with this funding package, I'd have to look to see if there was a required cost share.
All right.
But I can
get all the funding from them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, but I can let you know, when I give you a call tomorrow, I'll have that information on if there is a cost share, what percentage that is of the total cost.
Nothing more from FEMA?
It appears they've kind of opened up the floodgates again, and they're looking at more money. The president has, of course, approved more money flowing down, so we're still submitting, and we're still hoping. There was, of course, a new, I don't know if it constitutes an article, but it was the equivalent of an article of some of the pitfalls with going down this route. So we're going to do everything we can to make sure we don't fall in those pitfalls come 2 years later. So if you're interested, I can forward on. I don't know if Keith said I can forward that on to Keith, and he can get that to you as well. Also, while I'm here, I do want to apologize to the board. I was asked to provide some information after last meeting concerning traffic data, speed data, and all that on Burnett. I do have that note boldly written on my computer screen, so when I get back today, I'll get that out to Keith to get out to all of the board members. So my apologies for that.
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Anything else? Anybody? We are adjourned. Thank you.